What's going on, people? This is Shy Harris of the Rebel Society, and today we are sitting down with another creative, another entrepreneur. We are sitting down with my man, J-Rod. How are you doing, good brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thank you. Finally, I seen everybody else, appearing on the show.
I had to wait till I get a little bit of stature before I came to you, man.
Bullshit, but I'm gonna take it. Can I curse?
Yeah,
just making sure. All right.
I cuss all day.
All right, cool.
So I met this dude probably about 10 years ago?
Yeah, definitely a decade.
Definitely a decade. He had his radio show on Norfolk State Radio. Yeah. And I was like, you know what, let me come in and do some video for him. So we had some wild times with Model Fridays.
Model Friday. I still get in trouble for Model Friday, and I'm a married man.
I've heard that a couple times on the podcast. Yeah. That's where I met my first porn star.
Word.
Yeah.
That's a good life.
Met a whole bunch of celebrities, all that stuff. So those some good times, man.
Yeah.
So for the people that don't know you, who are you and what do you do?
Well, I'm J-Rod, J-Rod Tanner, depending on what that check look like. And basically I do so much. I'm a writer first.
Okay.
I'm a writer first, scripts, TV, movie, sketches, depending on what's being called for at the time.
Right.
I also produce my podcast, and then we had sex. And now, this year, I'm a booker. So,
as well as a husbander.
Yeah, husband
manager?
That word is so crazy because she still gets all the money. So, that 20% ain't nowhere.
You gotta get 20%.
Nah, that ain't happening. I gotta get
negotiating
sex.
skills is ass then. You gotta work that in. Yeah.
Listen, I gotta get my dick game up. That's what it is. Once I get my dick game up, maybe I get my 20%. I don't know. You know what I mean? But yeah, other than that, just editing and just trying to enjoy the life of, we know the word entrepreneur, but I mean, I try to stay away from it because
it's overused.
Way overused. And
I get tired of saying the word myself, and most people know me as that. So I'm
trying
to get away
from that. If you're an entrepreneur, like I get a check, I pay my bills, but I'm just doing what comes natural, which is just being a creative. So.
Right. Okay. So I wanted to have this conversation with you because, like I said, I feel like you've been out here for a while as far as just working and hustling. One of the things that always stood out is that you're like the epitome of the word creative to me.
Yeah.
So like when I first met you, you was singing, you was hosting, you was writing books, you was acting, like all the creative stuff, like you kind of embodied that. So now it seems like you kind of transition more so to like the writing and the podcast. So what made you decide to kind of, I guess, take some of those other things off your plate and kind of focus on these lanes?
I mean, honestly, it was God. And I know that sounds real cliche, but maybe about 5-6 years ago, I was in the middle of my first solo project. I was a singer at the time. And I got real sick, and I was kind of fed up, and not so much with the grind or the hustle, but I was more fed up because I didn't know how to introduce myself.
What you mean?
When you get to a certain age, sometimes it feels a little weird to say, I do this, I do that, and then you don't have any accolades to show.
Gotcha.
So I just asked God, I was like, listen, there is something I'm supposed to be doing, and I feel like I'm not doing it, so show me. And honestly, he showed me writing, and he showed me podcasting. And at the time, I hadn't listened to a podcast. I knew what it was, but I was still on the fence, like, I think it's this, I think it's that.
Right.
And with the writing, I hadn't written anything besides music. So it took a lot of trust to just say, you know what, I'm gonna figure this out. And that's what I did. I went into the lab for about 2 years, and I really learned crafts. And of course I had people around me to kind of guide me in the way I should be going, because I was trash at everything at first. But
you're always gonna be trash starting out.
I mean, that's just is what it is.
Yeah.
But eventually, I started becoming good in my craft, and I really saw maybe not what I'm supposed to be doing, but saw what was making me feel good. Right. And it felt good to go into spaces and tell people what I was doing, and then actually have something to show them, and like, well, this is what I'm doing, this is great, this is what I'm trying to obtain, or where I'm trying to go to. So that was the biggest reason for the change. And I still do hosting. You know, I'm hosting 4 or 5 times a night. You know, but at this point now, it's more of an outlet more than anything. You know, I'm learning the guitar, but it's an outlet right now.
You playing the guitar?
Yeah, man, I'm learning.
What made you decide to do that?
Something I always wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
You know, and like I said, God told me to
Be Eric Clapton out here?
Nah, you know what? I don't know, maybe. I love country music now. But
really?
It's crazy. It's when you don't have the pressures of trying to create something,
You just do whatever you want.
Exactly. And that's what it was. So, you know, now I'm a lot happier. Now I can see something tangible in the works that I do. And, you know, should music come back up or should I bring hosting to a different level, then I might do that, you know. But at this point, it's just walking in my purpose and making sure that everything I do has a purpose.
Okay. So I know like in the past, probably like a year or so, you and your wife decided to do And Then We Had Sex podcast.
Yeah.
Like where did that thought come from? Like,
well, like I said, that was one of the things that he put on my heart. Like, yo, you should do a podcast. And there were a couple of different ideas I had been throwing around for those 2 years inside. And then in my other teachings, like with the writing, I jumped into television and really learned that part. And it kind of went to the back burner for a second. And then me and my wife got together. And she was pregnant, and since she's a comedian, I said I need something that she can do where she doesn't have to be on the road, she doesn't be on stage.
Right.
And podcast, you know, it just seemed like the perfect thing.
Okay. All right. So even though we can't necessarily see numbers, it feels like the impact of your podcast has been growing.
Yeah. You know, we started real low.
Yeah.
We started real low. And, you know, the numbers are one of those things where you get a little bit. You know, SoundCloud will tell you something. But for me, SoundCloud is more of a anchoring spot on letting me know, well, what areas are feeling it more.
Because it has the demographics and all that. So what cities have been like listening and all that stuff.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
You know, who's picking up more. And when I do this, what's happening. And it gives me a good idea on what everything else is happening on the other spaces. Your Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, your Spotify's, your Stitchers, things of that nature.
Gotcha. Okay, so as you know, like a lot of stuff I do is talking about, you know, how other people can kind of do the same things that you're doing, or just advice for other people. So, and especially like the marketing side of it. So, what were some things that y'all were doing to kind of grow the following of the podcast?
Well, the first thing is finding a niche.
Okay.
That is, I think, something that is not talked about often. You know, we always hear, you know, creators just go out there and just put out your best product. But at the same time, you have to realize that something that's unique about podcasts that isn't like any other form of media is that it's a personal thing. And we all know that when you have personal things, there are certain there's certain categories that fit in your life.
Right.
You know, so you might listen to 5-6 podcasts, but a lot of times they vary in the types of podcasts that they are.
True.
And what happens, I think, for a lot of people is they decide to do a podcast that is just like everything else. So
they be like, yeah, we want to do a podcast where me and like 3 of my friends are just going to sitting around the table talking shit like Joe Budden podcast or something like that. Yeah.
Exactly. And I already have the Joe Budden podcast.
Yeah. So it's not going to stand out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't have any celebrity or a name or a real following,
it's not going to hit like that
at all.
Yeah.
You know, so that's like the very first thing. And that was something that we've tried to stay true to our brand. You know, our brand is sex. Our brand is being open. And our brand is also making sure that the honesty always falls through whatever conversations that we're having.
Okay.
So that was our biggest thing, and then from there, it was really a lot of Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, especially.
I know the last time we talked, you said you was running like a lot of ads and stuff like that too, right?
Yeah, and the ads were doing well. But when I started reading the numbers, I started seeing certain things that did work, certain things that didn't work. You know, even now, what I have about 3 or 4 videos that I always go to when I'm trying to market to a new city.
Right.
For instance, we're coming to DC in a couple of months. When we go to DC, they will know, and they will probably see a lot of the stuff that Virginia Beach did when I was pushing out in Virginia Beach, you know.
Right.
So really knowing what your market wants, or just knowing what the people want and knowing what they are receptive to, helps so much. A lot of times I think we go in with ideas, which is always a good thing, but then once we see these ideas get to working, we don't take that information for what it is. They don't like this. They are not responding to this. They are responding to this. So give more of this, you know. And if you only have one of this, then give one of that until you come up with some other stuff.
Okay. So for the people that have podcasts now and trying to grow it to other cities or grow their audience and reach to other cities, what are some suggestions that you would give for, you know, those type of people?
It's so crazy. About 6 months ago, maybe even longer, I was trying to market to New York. And I was like, because, you know,
that's a bigger market for you?
Yeah, New York, New Jersey, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
So I was trying to market it to New York, and every time I looked at the New York number, I was like, it's so many people, and for the amount of money that I'm putting down, I'm not going to touch a lot of them.
All right.
So I need to do something that is going to still filter into that market without actually hitting that market. So I took surrounding areas.
Okay.
And one of the biggest surrounding areas was North New Jersey. So I put some money down, and my thought process was, I know New York likes us organically. So the mindset there is probably going to be a lot similar to the mindset of a person that's living in North New Jersey, you know,
True.
just living up there. So what I did is I just put the money on Jersey and just seen what happened. And I got the biggest response that I ever got from any of my ads. So from there, I started flooding.
How much was you like putting down on ads?
Maybe about $20 a week, you know, something, and I will only keep it to a couple of days.
Yeah.
What my strategy usually is I start at the beginning of the week. My podcast comes out on Wednesday, so by the time my ad ends, I have new material on my page.
Right.
So what it does is anybody that's didn't know anything about us, they're seeing the ad that I did. They go to the page. Now they see
some new
fresh
videos,
stuff,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And they can see that we're up to date and we're current. A lot of times you'll find a page that doesn't have anything current on there.
They're still pushing out videos from like a year ago and
Exactly.
have nothing else since then.
Exactly.
So, yeah,
and that'll make you say, I don't want to follow them.
Right.
So I make sure that when I put out ads, the end goal is you go into the page and you seeing new stuff and it's fresh stuff. And it's like, yo, they just talked about this.
Right.
So maybe I want to go follow.
Okay.
One of the other things I do is I try not to make my ads too podcasty.
What you mean by that?
Well, even though it's becoming a market, one of the greatest things about podcasting is that it's so new. And the downside of things being new is people don't know what the fuck it is. So if I ask you to look at a podcast, you're probably gonna be like, no, if you don't listen to podcasts, or I'm not into that, I don't listen to podcasts.
Right.
That's like one of the main things you hear. But if I put a video out that's just funny, you might check it out.
Yeah.
And then you see another video that's funny, you might check it out.
And then after about 5-6 videos, like, no, I'm gonna just check out the whole episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is a podcast. I'm gonna check this podcast out. And a lot of times we become the first or second podcast that people listen to because we haven't started with the word podcast. You know, it's just, and then we have sex and you don't really know what it is. Now you go to the page and you really are invested.
Right.
You're going to find out as a podcast. You're going to find out where you can see it. You're going to see all of that information. But my initial elevator speech has nothing to do with podcasts. It's just listen to this content.
Okay. All right. So when it comes down to live shows, because y'all just recently did your first live show. Actually, how was that experience for you? I know a lot of people are trying to get into doing like live shows, but they only get like, 5 fans.
Yeah. Well, we were lucky when we first started the podcast. We went in partnership with Virginia Beach Funny Bone. So we already had a venue intact. And the biggest thing in our minds is we got to at least get this front row together.
Right.
Because we didn't want people to come in and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I knew that our numbers at home weren't as large as somewhere else.
Yeah.
But we wanted to start at home because, It's our base. And through that, a couple of things I learned. First and foremost is ads don't cut it. You got to touch the people that you can. You know,
you actually got to be out here in the streets like that.
You know what? Not even out in the streets. You know, a simple message to somebody that I know is in the area to say, hey, I got this podcast. Didn't even know you had a podcast. Yeah, we're actually doing a live show. Didn't know you're having a live show. You should come through. It'll be real fun.
And not spamming people either.
Exactly. Well,
you a spammer?
I'm a spammer, but I'm a personal spammer. And one of the things that I know for myself is awareness is big. The girls hate it, but I always talk about GAR, growth, awareness, and shit is another one. They're gonna hate me now because I push it on them all the time. But anyway,
you don't know the R?
I forgot the R. You know what I mean? It was a bright idea I had one day. Retention. So awareness is super huge, and awareness doesn't always mean you're going to get the ticket sale. Awareness might just be, hey, well, if you get a chance, check this out. Let me know what you think. Awareness might be, I see that you're pregnant. You need anything? Because I got babies. And really building those relationships. The great thing about podcasting is when you listen to it, you feel like you know us. We're open.
True. So
why would I approach another person not giving them that same reverence of you want to speak to a real person? Yeah. Is it time consuming? Yes. And that's where you have your Facebook, your ads and all that coming in. But is it going to give you a great response? Yes. If I hit up 1,000 people within a month and I'm really talking to them and I'm really having these conversations, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get a great response come my showtime. True. And not only that, the people that didn't come, at least, 15% of them are going to check out the show.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, you check out the show enough.
You're gonna be a fan of it.
Exactly. Yeah. And, now I don't have to ask you. Now you might ask me, yo, when's the next live show? Another great thing that came out the live show was, we had so many people in there that never heard of us. And that's where believing in your product comes into play.
Hold up. Never heard of y'all as like individuals or the podcast?
Period.
Oh, okay.
We do venues. We don't do any venue that doesn't already get business.
Yeah.
And we don't do any venues that wouldn't have comedy in it. And we believe in our brand. We believe in our product. On our worst day, we're still giving you the meat and potatoes of what this show is.
True.
And we ended up making fans of all of them in there. People were sitting there and they were loving it. And their thing is, how the fuck did I not know about this? So the live show, it was excellent. It was excellent in the fact that, it got our first one off our back. It let us know how to change from the podcast to the actual show in front of people. And it just gave us a chance to show our product and believe in our product even more.
Okay. Are y'all going to ever put that up?
No, not yet. So we're putting it out, but we're in the process of making sure that our YouTube page is correct.
Okay.
Everybody always asks, when are you going to put out the episodes? And that's pretty much the final piece, because people, like I said, people are still trying to understand what podcasts are. You really don't think people know what podcasts are by now? I know for a fact people don't know what podcasts are. They think they know. But
what do people think it is? 'Cause I feel like
some people think that I could put a YouTube live up there and that's a podcast. No, that's not a podcast.
Yeah.
Podcasting in its true form is an audio experience.
Right.
And there are a lot of people that subscribe to podcasts only on YouTube. So when it came to...
I have a couple of those.
Right. Yeah. Where it's just YouTube. And there's a lot of people who watch the YouTube and they say, I'm a podcast listener. Podcast watcher.
Yeah.
So when it came to putting out our show, I wanted to make sure that things were there. I wanted to make sure, just like with the Instagram page, when you finally do go check it out, you have enough content to keep you there and wanting to come back.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the only reason the live show isn't up.
Gotcha.
Is because I want to roll it out the correct way.
Okay. So, I ain't really got too many more questions. But so like, what is next for you and the podcast?
This year we're starting a lot more live shows in different areas. I mentioned DC, we're doing Richmond, we're doing Virginia Beach again. There's some other areas that we're in talks of right now.
Y'all going on a tour?
I mean, that sounds real pretentious, man. We just going to talk to people.
I mean, if you go to do 3 live joints together, that's a tour.
I mean, you called it that.
Okay. I call it a tour.
I'm just making sure that the places that I know their listeners, they get a chance to meet us face to face. So that's a big part. And also just making sure that we continue to strive to do better. We are in here damn near every day, and we are damn near every day talking about the podcast and figuring out how to make it better, how to, we're honest with each other.
Right.
So the girls usually piss off at me because of something. And they are allowed to cuss me out, tell me this, that, and the third. But when we come to the show, it's always better.
Right.
You
definitely be having some hot takes.
Yeah, I mean, that's just me. Somebody asked me the other day, yo, does he do this? Is he just putting on for the show, or is this really how you feel? Nah, I'm an asshole, and
you can throw a little sauce on it, because some of that stuff I don't believe you actually feel that way.
Give me an example.
I can't think of nothing off the top.
Okay, because I was about to say, my wife, I've slept on this couch enough to know that it's all real. Okay. It's all real. But, that's just, we got lucky in that.
Yeah.
I don't think the way most people do. But that's also why I wanted to do a podcast in the beginning, is because I know that what you're going to hear from me, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to hear from a lot of people.
True.
And it's probably the most rewarding thing that I do during the day.
Okay. So as we wrap this up, where can people find you, good sir?
Well, I'm at JTalk100.
You got to get a new handle, man.
What, JTalk100?
Yeah, you've had it for like 20 years.
I mean, JTalk100 came about because I didn't have a handle and I didn't know what the fuck to put up there, and it's just lasted. There are people who know me only as JTalk100. Yeah. So it is weird, but I don't even push that right now. I'm a boring dude. But the podcast, and then we had sex. We're on all platforms, like I said before: Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and there's a bunch of others that I don't even know about. But Anchor, we're everywhere. And our handles are the same across the board. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Y'all
got a TikTok page?
Yeah, we didn't start putting anything up there, but that's such a huge thing. TikTok is, and you listen to my guy Gary, man. Yeah. And he said something that really made sense. Go to a place where there aren't a lot of eyes and they're looking for content.
Yeah.
So TikTok is something that we're going to be using more in the new year.
I'm just trying to figure out how would that work for people that's not dancing.
It's funny. I went through another big part of why I haven't put anything up there is because I've just been going through videos and seeing what's up. And we have fun. I'm giving up a lot of information right now about our show. This year, you were asking what else is up for the podcast. This year, last year was really about making sure the podcast was running. We knew how to hit it, how we were going to approach each show. When you listen to each show, it should feel like, in a lot of ways, the breakfast show, the Breakfast Club. They're going to do this. Exactly. This year, it's about the other umbrellas of the show. So TikTok may not be something that we picked up from the show, but it just may be us before the show or after the show, and something just us kidding around because we're all goofballs, man.
All right, cool. Well, I definitely appreciate this conversation.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you. You gotta have the wife up here, man. Okay, just making sure.
Y'all should do a couple joint.
I feel like that might work. But she's way worse than me. She's way worse than me. And funnier, so.
She's definitely funny. So, with that being said, we are out.